I'm your ice cream man, baby. Stop me when I'm passing by. We're on with the multi-camera high. We're very close.
We're very close
and
today.
Our skin is very touchy.
Oh, you got a better tan than me.
Summertime. Thank you, unemployment.
Look at
I
that.
love it. Hello, everybody. Hi.
Hi, nice to see you.
Nice
I've
to
been
see
away.
you too. Why don't we get right into it? Welcome to Harleys and Hairspray. This is our daily conversational time together. So converse with us. Not a monologue, but should be a dialogue. Okay, why don't we begin with you? You've been away. We haven't been able to film. Let me say that in English without all the gum chewing. We have not been able to film in a little while because you have been busy and inspired.
I went into the land of art.
And I've been doing something in your absence, Christmassy, but more on that story later. First,
really? Okay.
It's Christmas in July, baby.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I know.
Cool. Okay, so if you tuned in before, you've probably heard about the theater of the best dressed. What do we say? Theater of the well dressed.
In the last episode, Tina mentioned theater of the oppressed, of the malnourished, or something. I don't know.
Oh yes,
but
of the distressed.
But like jeans. It's a theater of old jeans. The sisterhood of great pants, or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know why anybody would call that theater by that name. It just feels like you're under a cloud constantly. But tell me about enjoying the cloud and leaving the cloud.
So I need to just clarify. So what the first thing I did in my 10 days, I spent 5 days with David Diamond and about 25 other theater social impactor people in a workshop for Theater for Living. And it was level 1. Theater for Living, but it was a Theater for Living was born out of Augusto Boal's Theater of the Oppressed from Brazil. And Theater of the Oppressed was about creating art around situations where things can get stuck, where trauma happens, where oppression happens, and giving agency back to the audience who can stop a production. It's only a 2 or 3 minute scene. They can stop a scene and say, I want to come in and replace a character.
Yes, fantastic.
And so that's what it was born out of. And the cool thing about Theater for Living versus Theater of the Oppressed was one of the rules of Theater of the Oppressed was that the oppressor doesn't get a voice because they're an oppressor.
They already have the power.
And Theater for Living says, yes, but if we want to bridge build, we have to understand that even an oppressor is a human being and they have a voice and they come from somewhere. And what is their story? Let's say you're a nasty person and I'm like, if I want to understand who you are, and even if I don't want to understand who you are, if the world wants to understand who you are, you need a voice. And there's more than just this moment of whatever nasty thing you're doing. There's the lead up of what created that to happen. And I want to understand that. So that's what I did for the first 5 days. And what was awesome about it, I mean, so much of it was awesome for me. But in my journaling around it, I was like, wow, I'm rediscovering theater again for the first time. And it's not a first time, but it's so rare that you get to experience something you love so much with fresh eyes.
That's beautiful.
Oh.
You can be kind of born again, creatively.
Sure.
Experientially.
Yeah. It was awesome.
So how did the other participants interact with you? Tell me about the dance with others.
Oh. Well, it was a mixed bag of people, and so of all different age.
Soup to nuts.
Soup to nuts. People from all over the world. So there were cultural differences. There was identity differences. There was age differences, different wisdoms, and so it was really interesting in this time in history how we're approaching art and how careful we've become with art because we don't want to say the wrong thing. We don't want to offend. And what happens, and this is just this is from my lens, I'm going to offer just where I'm at in it, is, the beauty about art is that art is intimacy. Art is permission. Art is the safety to say the hard things. where else can you say those things if not in art? Where else can you explore those things?
Only in therapy.
Only in therapy.
But really, you're absolutely right. There is no other paradigm.
Right?
Yeah.
And in therapy, it's just two people. In art, it's you and an audience, or you and an ensemble working on something. And so it was interesting in the room, again, with different cultural identities, different gender identities, different, wisdoms. I have gray hair, other people don't. Like, some are storytellers, social impactors, to navigate safety in the space, and who's going to say what, who's going to swear, who's not going to swear, and it took longer than I'm used to get in.
People have to feel it out.
People do.
Before they find their comfort in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they have to build some form of attachment in the group to feel safe enough to say the thing. And there was a lot of judgment in the room. And I don't mean that I don't mean that from a bitchy judgment place. I mean, there was a lot of, again, because we're in this place in history where we are able to name the shitty things that have happened that we may be complicit in. There was a lot of, well, we can't say that. Well, we can't do that. Is it okay if I do this? And so I want to say, like, in the old days, when I first approached theater in my 20s, it was more about, do I have permission to be this bold? And in this room, it was, do I have a right to even say these things? And which makes art do this. Like it just, if you don't have permission, there's nowhere to go. Like, what are you exploring?
That's alien to me.
Say more.
Permission. What is that great expression? I'd rather ask for forgiveness than ask for permission.
Yeah.
That's me in a nutshell. I don't think that in my recent history, maybe in the earlier iteration of me, I had to ask for permission or find a comfort. I don't even think that way.
Mm-hmm.
I just go. And hopefully those that need to ask for permission can just follow my lead of just diving in. So I don't do that dance. That dance makes me feel awkward because I know I'm dancing to make you feel more comfortable, and then I know you're dancing because I'm dancing. And I'm like, can we just get over the awkwardness and to me, that's the equivalent of small talk on a first date. Can we just cut through that and get right to the heart of the matter? So yeah, I just don't have the patience, or maybe the collaborative etiquette to spend time in that space, in that initial space.
It might also be that the medium that you cut your teeth on doesn't require as much permission. It's music. It's highly interpretable. And we have a third party in the room called Power Tools, just so we know that there's a third character in our conversation today. So we'll speak up a bit, but, hang in with us.
That's nature's great vibrator out there.
Yeah.
And that's an example of me giving myself permission to not do that dance. I just say filterlessly what I'm thinking, and good luck to the rest of you. How you interpret that is your story and your challenge. It's none of my business.
I just went, there's some really happy trees out there. That's where I went.
Really, really happy trees. Yeah, and so did you feel a bit like a newbie having to do that dance, that awkward dance of attaining comfort with this new group of collaborators?
No, I felt like a bit of an agitated woman over 50.
I feel that way. Every day I feel like an agitated woman over 50. Honey, don't even get me started. Yes. No, I totally understand. Like, I've come too far to be at this place.
Right.
It's rudimentary.
Right.
Without putting anybody else down. But it's just when you've done the work, it's rudimentary.
Yeah.
I've done this math class. I'm ready for calculus.
Right?
Yes.
And yet at the same time, like, I had a number of moments where I sat back and went, ooh, how's David going to handle this one? Who's the facilitator, right? I'm like, how's he going to answer this question? Where's he going to go with this? And what I so appreciated was it never went to this I'm right, you're wrong, or it never went to that combative place. It went to the integrity of the work is about being real.
Right.
So if you're going to be real, because theater of the oppressed or theater for living, this sort of this work, the theater of the best dressed, this work that's intervention based, if it's not real, If the person up there isn't playing a real character that they can connect with, it's not going to work. So you can't sacrifice the truth for appropriateness. The truth is the only appropriate choice.
It's the only choice. Okay, hold on. Let's go from the esoteric to the practical. Can you paint a picture for me and our listeners of what an actual activity may look like? Can you give us a description of what you've lived through?
Sure. And it was a 5-day process. So I'm going to give you a sense of the 5th day, because anything before that is all exploration.
Great.
Okay. So the 5th day, we're up on our feet and we're actually doing scenes that are social impact related. So for example, I didn't see this one, but it's a great one because it just puts everything on the table. If you're doing a family violence scene.
Yes.
Right? Somebody in that scene is going to be playing a part of the oppressor.
So it's kind of like Saturday Night Fever. Hey, don't touch my hair. I worked a long time to do this hair, and then you just hit my hair. And so the dad that hits the hair is the oppressor, because he's the one hitting John Travolta's hair.
That's right.
Hey! So, okay.
And then there's people. It could happen in a kitchen. So there might be people sitting around the kitchen table. Right. And then the cool part, of many cool parts about it. But remember that any oppressive, and it's not just about oppression. Like I want to get back to art in general. There's always an inciting event. There's always a catalyst, a thing that sparks the expression, and that catalyst is. There's force involved there, and it doesn't have to be conflict. I'm not afraid of the word conflict. So, but it's this against this that creates that, and it's not just two characters. There could be two. There's like the oppressor and the oppressed, but then there's there's the lateral violence that happens in these kinds of things.
The
right?
ripples.
The ripples.
Yeah.
And so every person plays a character. And we created a 2-minute scene about that, whatever the thing was, and then the people in the audience get to watch, get to say, okay, I'm going to put my hand up and I'm going to replace this character and I'm going to change this ending. And so that's what we were doing. And the 4 days leading up to that was all about the muscle of telling the truth, of less is more, of building these little. I'm curious where this takes you musically, because one of the things that I forgot about but recognized watching this was that the less is more thing isn't just about getting rid of the flowers. It's about having access points, hooks that your audience or listener can identify that moment with themselves. So it's less is more is like don't give me 5 lines about the thing that happened. Give me 1 line about the thing that happened, because me as the viewer has to take that in and find myself in that moment.
That's right.
So they're like little hooks to get in.
And trim as much fat as possible.
And just
be economical. Okay, so can you paint an example for us of one such family violence vignette? What did this thing look like?
Well, again, I'm making this one up because this didn't happen in the room. I'm just using it because it's an easier way to explain what's going on. But you think you did it. You already did it. So like, I mean, I think we all have a sense of what could happen in a family violence in a room. Mm-hmm. Something goes down, somebody punches something or someone, and somebody watches it happen and doesn't do anything about it.
Right.
Right? That would be a 3-character part of that. But you could have a 4th character. Someone's just after somebody punches somebody and somebody didn't do anything about it, somebody knocks at the door. And now is anybody going to talk about it when that person walks in the door?
And it just happens to be the hairdresser who's also Tony's friend. He's like, hey, I'll fix your hair and we can still go dancing tonight. I know you hit your hair and your mom made dinner and you got a bib on, but after all the violence is done, happy ending. I got your hair. All right.
That's his intervention. He would like stop the person and be the hairdresser.
I'd be like, hey, that's right. I'm Antonio the hairdresser. And can I have a little pasta bite, but I'll fix the hair. All right.
You've got this.
That's horrible. That's the worst Jersey Shore after Jersey Shore.
Yeah, well, you know,
ever.
I love you, anyway, so it's okay.
And I'm also a fan of John Travolta and Saturday Night Fever.
Right? Totally.
And the Bee Gees, of course. And
okay, so tell me about this musically, though.
Okay, so musically, what that is
Sure.
Oh, musically, if I had to soundtrack, if I had to score this vignette
Mm-hmm.
and sync up my little bit of music to what I'm seeing on the screen,
Yep.
I would have several themes. I would have, first of all, the introduction, which sets up a context of is there tension, or is it just another day in the household, in the kitchen?
Mm.
Or is it dun, dun, is it Jaws? You know, there's something coming in the water, but you don't know what it is, but the tension's already there. And then maybe I would have several themes, like what is one character's theme? What is another character's theme? Is one character light and bouncy? Is one character low and thuddy and very pedestrian? Is one character poetic? Is one character prosaic? And so
Mm-hmm.
melodically, that could be modal, or it could be major or minor, or plodding, or slow, or fast, or high and twinkly, or low and, yeah, anyway, chubby. And then these themes would weave together and interact in a very Bach Baroquean kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
And then we want to make sure that the music also follows the story. So there's, rising action, there's the climax of the conflict, and then there's the aftershocks, the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
ripples, and the falling action, and some sort of conclusion or resolution or tie up. Let's put a bow on this thing. And so musically, beyond just having the various characters and their various soundscapes, you want to follow some sort of form.
Mm-hmm.
In pop, you would call it the verse, chorus, bridge kind of idea, but you definitely, or in jazz, you would have the head, and then the improvised solo spots back to the head. But or in classical, you'd have the ABA,
Mm.
CA, rondo form, whatever it is. But no matter what, you need some way to organize what's happening in the plot and
Mm-hmm.
within the characters. So it's not just chaotic audio, but there's a
Right.
real partnership. I mean, coming from a
Yeah.
place where I accompanied dancers in the ballet world, the music is not at the
Mm.
forefront. The music
Mm.
is really a supporting character
Mm-hmm.
to the plot.
Mm-hmm.
So the plot is your lead actor nominated for
Mm-hmm.
your Oscar, and the
Mm-hmm.
music is the supporting actor, which works hand in hand but never takes over. It shouldn't be
Mm.
strong enough to demand more attention than the plot itself.
Mm.
So, in a nutshell, if I were teaching a class on this, I would say something along the lines of the soliloquy, but I would also accompany it with musical vignettes that demonstrate exactly what I mean, and then see how they work and how they sync up and glue together with the actual visual plot that we are observing.
So here's what I love about this. One, that plot structure from a story perspective is the same with words as it is with me. Like, I love that. I love universals.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
right?
Where am I, and how do I move in time and space from where I began to where the story takes me?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's through words or through music, but it has to be undeniably clear that that is the movement, that is the forward
Mm-hmm.
motion of what we're doing here.
And then the next piece it brings me to, because this is where we go in all of our conversations, is the application of that into life.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the piece that you said about this, because I was listening for, and where does this apply? How do, like, what's our way into that? When you said that the music is a supporting character,
Yes.
right, with the dancer. And it made me think, like, right. So in our own life, what are we letting lead?
Right.
What role are we currently living in right now? Like, I would say I am just coming out of a stage of my life where I've actually been the supporting role of my own life rather than the center of my own life.
That's heavy because I feel it deeply. So keep going.
Hmm.
I feel that deeply.
Hmm.
Well, when you're ensconced in parenting,
Mm-hmm.
deep, rich, turbulent parenting with the full rainbow of flavors, you are in the supporting role.
Mm-hmm.
Because at every stage you give the children what their phase of evolution demands. And each child will also demand his or her own thing in his or her own particular unique stage of evolution. So all you're doing is just walking along with your tray
Mm-hmm.
of Let me give you this in this point of your life. Let me serve you up this. You're never going, ha ha, what I need right now. When you're parenting, it's never what I need right now. It's let me ascertain what you may best need right now and how I can cater to that. And that is a multi-decade endeavor.
Yes.
And so, of course, you're in the supporting role. Of course, I feel it.
And the cool part about life is that, like, you are when you're accompanying a dancer, or when you are in a theater troupe or what have you, every job is important.
Right.
And and I'm not just saying that, oh, every job's important. Like, truthfully, like, oh my God, the reason they have a Best Supporting Actor Oscar is not because they held up the main character so good. It's they contributed to the fullness of what that role is and does in agreement to the greater good of the art itself. And right? So the art of our lives, sometimes we're in the supporting role of our own life to contribute to the greater good of the piece of art that is our whole life.
Right. So, and the vision that I got right away was you have two salsa dancers, and you have a man that's leading and a woman that's following. Now, take the woman out of that equation. So let's call the woman, because she's following naturally, traditionally, not that she needs to, but traditionally, you take her out of the supporting role of being a follower, and you're just watching the man lead. You just took away half of the meaning of what that dance is about, because that dance is the sum of the leader and the supporter, the leader and the follower. That dance is not the sum of just the leader. That has no meaning. If I'm just watching the man lead no one but space. And that's why the value of the supporting role is so critical. It gives meaning and fullness and completion to the entire picture. It's not about the leader and the supporter. It's the entire picture, and you need both to really have a full comprehension of what's trying to be conveyed. Exactly right.
Oh my God, I love that example so much, because you're right. Like, the beauty, there's beauty on both sides, but if you lost one, oh my gosh.
The meaning would change entirely.
Oh.
So when it comes to parenting, imagine being an absentee parent. Yeah, they're your kids. You can call them your kids by title or by name or genetically. But if you're an absentee parent, they're just the supporting or the lead dancer, whichever role, but they don't have anybody to play off of, and they're just raising themselves, or whatever that looks like. So in parenting, you have to be completely involved. And there's really never any time for just you in the spotlight. That's not the nature of the role. It's not a guilt trip. It's just not the nature of the role.
That's a great sentence. It's not a guilt trip. It's just the nature of the role.
That's what it is.
Okay, so if we're going to link it back to Theater of the Press, and then I think we've given a lot here. I think it's here, but I'm going to link it back to Theater of the Oppressed, because so Theater for Living is, like, to me, the expansion of Theater of the Oppressed, where what we've just illustrated is it takes, not only does it take two, there is two, or there is multiplicity, but two or multiple, whatever. And every part, what am I trying to say here? What am I trying to say? I'm not saying...
You look great in that dress, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I'm stalling while you're trying to figure out.
Oh, very good, very
good.
But
although that is the truth.
I want to say, while I cannot say that there is beauty in violence. That's not what I'm saying. Like, I am not saying that. What I am saying is, in the art, if you need all characters at the table in order to get to that place of beauty that is humanity. So you gave us the parenting example, and I'm going to say, and in theater, if you are, or writing, or whatever, like whatever the expression is, if you are talking about some really shitty, hard things, you are denying us access to the beauty if you don't give us the whole picture. So don't be afraid to go there, I think is what I'm saying. You don't have to live there, but don't be afraid to go there.
Right. So we live, although we're in an undisclosed location and we continue to broadcast from here, it is on the Pacific. And the Pacific in the Northwest. Okay, I've always it's too much information for the viewer because you will track us down. But the Pacific Ocean we're in the heart of summer right now, peak of July, and it's been fantastic. But the Pacific never gets Caribbean warm.
No.
It never gets Miami warm. And so whenever you go into the Pacific, there's always you know that feeling. And so I go into the water and I keep telling myself that I will never have the full immersive experience of enjoying the cold swim if I don't submerge my head. Literally and figuratively, it's not the full immersive experience. And I see people going up to here and going up to here. And my first inclination is to just go up to here, but that's not the experience. That's not the full beauty and pain and joy. And until I submerge my big bald noggin under the water and feel the salt water in my eyes, and I know that I've taken all of me into this, all of me, saving nothing, I haven't had a full experience. All of me must dive in. And so yeah, I see. Maybe it's because I'm getting older and because I've never been more sensitive than I am now, almost empty nesting, that I'm starting to see parallels in every aspect of life. Diving into an artistic experience, diving into a cold ocean, but it's the completeness of everything that we strive for. Go all the way. Just go all the way. And it might be joyous or it might suck, but the point is, you're going to get the full, rich experience, and you're going to leave no what-ifs behind. They're going to be no questions. It's going to be unquestionably experienced. Check that box. So give yourself permission and do it, which cycles right back to, I don't really understand how you can dance around and not give yourself permission. You should just be a bull in a china shop with it. Just dive into that ocean and go, I'm going to break some stuff right now. See ya. And off I go. And so I'm
just going to break some stuff. I just had to say that out loud.
I'm just going to break. And so maybe that's just the phase of life that I'm in right now because I'm so impatient and I want to dive in. Like, what if this is my last day? I love my life. I've lived an amazing life. But if this is my last day and I'm not waking up tomorrow, I am diving into the cold ocean with my head, with all of me. I'm diving into the creative process with all of me. I'm holding nothing back in any way in anything that I do. And if I have a chance to tell you how beautiful you look in that dress, I'm going to do it. And I did it, and I done it, and it feels good. All right, well, I'll holler at your peeps. Good to talk. Peace. I'm your ice cream man, baby.